everybody. I'm Natalie Kunzman, MD, and I've gotten so many questions right now about kids and jabs with the current arsenal of immunizations that we have in this disease process that is trying to become part of an endemic now and part of our virome, as it is no longer novel. Okay, what is my opinion about this? And my opinion has been derived from my diligent review of literature, review of pediatricians, review of physicians who are knee-deep in this battle, as we also dive into the type of chemistry involved with these particular jabs. So let me just say that, first of all, we need to remove all fear. So parents, please let me tell you, when we are talking about this current infection, as of 2 weeks ago, we are talking about 378 children that have died or succumbed to this illness out of 72 million. So this is actually stating that the death rate or high disease rate is 0.03% in our children. This is not high. So please, let us remove some of the fear that is being promulgated right now, which is having everyone scared to decide, do we need to run and get jabs in our children? I am not an anti-vaxxer. I am not a pro-vaxxer. I view myself as a smart vaxxer. So that may mean delayed schedules are warranted or fine. And if you think about it, the new immunization schedule that we have been following for several years really only got pushed in the 2000s to incorporate our infants getting many shots in a short period of time. And we did remove the mercury moiety, but unfortunately there is an aluminum moiety in many of these. So we need to be very smart about what we're using and when we are using it. So not all jabs are created equal. And in our current arsenal, we have very new technology that is not as the same strategy of yesteryear, where you take a small dose of an illness and inoculate us, in other words, give a small inoculum, so that the body is ready to receive or be prepared in case it sees a large inoculum in its future. So what is happening now, and probably the technology is inundating you at this point, but we are hiding some messenger RNA in a lipid nanoparticle in hopes that it gets taken up by some immune cells, but it's also taken up by regular cells to get in our DNA and manufacture spike protein so we can develop antibodies. Okay, I think we all understand that. One of the concerns right now is in a normal immune response to an illness in some respiratory particles, we might have thousands of copies of that virus entering our nasal cavity. But at least in one of these jabs, we're talking about 50 billion copies of these messenger RNA packets are getting into our system, which is just, if you think about it, a bomb, and a lot for the immune system to respond to. Now, when we have two arms of the immune system, and I'll try to keep this simple so a lot of what I'm saying makes sense. In a novel illness, especially something that is virally based, a virus will do everything it can to get inside of our cell, live in our cell, replicate, create its capsid and all of its other mechanistic parts. So to actually get to a virus, we need a strong T cell based immunity or an innate immunity. Children are the absolute best at these novel illnesses, novel viruses, because they have the largest thymus, they have the largest amount of T cells that are fast and ready to go on the attack. Now, when we are, and that is a Th1 system, when we are inoculating, we are actually expecting the immune system to ultimately, in a usual jab, we are expecting it ultimately to develop antibodies. Now, antibodies are the big fat protein globs. Sometimes, we see them in the shape of a Y when we're trying to explain them and what they actually look like on a molecule, but they are outside of a cell, okay? So this virus is inside the cell. So a B cell related response isn't terribly efficient to go after this. This is a Th2 arm system. So we need a balance of Th1 and Th2. So I also caution that if we are making a heavily balanced Th2 system, we are rendering the Th1 system, the viral system, the T cell system, less capable for the attack. Let us go back to the fact that children are rarely dying in this situation, and those who have had some significant underlying co-contributors. So this particular illness has low impact on children, and children have the highest, best, fastest immune response to take care of this virus, and that's why they may only have sniffles for a day or two. I'm not so sure there is anything more perfect than that, and I'm not so sure that this new arsenal and these new arrows in the quiver are helping a child any further along. I am very concerned about the high inoculum and the big bomb and the big blast and the big inflammatory cascade that is now being promoted in a child's immune system when it isn't necessary. I had a whole family, for instance, that everybody was sick with COVID, including the less than 3-month-old infant. And I reminded this patient that the infant has the biggest thymus and has the fastest T cell response, and to certainly keep an eye on the infant, but the infant will probably do better than the rest of the family, and that indeed was true. Again, I'm hoping this clarifies to a degree. I know this is becoming a hot topic, and there are physicians who are being shut down on their platforms. So some of the nomenclature I am being careful of, but I have not yet been a proponent for children lining up for these jabs. They are wonderful with the innate response of a virus, which is T cell mediated, which fights inside of the cell. Developing antibodies is not an efficient way, and unfortunately may cause some harm along the way. Of course, there is the VAERS system, which is a vaccine injury reporting system, and just so you know, of the deaths and complications that we've had of these jabs, so far, that is thought to be only 1 to 2% of the actuality of the situation. So, if that clarifies for you and you're wondering, do my kids need these jabs? I would say not yet, not unless something drastically changes with this particular virus, and it doesn't seem as though it is or it will. Save those jabs for some of the other illnesses that have had a lot more impact on infant mortality, childhood complications, long-lasting chronic disease. And please, please, please talk to your providers, because I believe that all of our immune systems are not created equally, and not everything is going to be received and as predicted in our biological systems. Okay, folks, that's it. Kids and jabs. Hopefully this clarifies that for you. I'm Natalie Kunzman. Until we meet again, be well.